Hello fellow filmmakers, I wanted to show you my design for a do-it-yourself Steadicam. It's based off of Deaf and Young's design, so definitely check out his video on YouTube, Deaf and Young Silver Flyer. But I wanted to make mine out of wood since I'm a woodworker. Let me show you my design. So I knew I definitely wanted to make mine out of wood. And this is my prototype here that I began with. And whereas most of them on YouTube you'll see a C shape made out of metal tubing, my prototype just made out of some 1/2 inch plywood, just nailed together. And I wanted some maneuverability for my camera up top so I can move it back and forth and side to side. This is what these slots are for here, and I'll show you more about that later. And I wanted the same thing for the weights on the bottom. But I found, as I was combing around in Home Depot, I found a better solution for adjusting the weights on the bottom. And that's with a threaded rod. So I just attached a threaded rod here to the bottom, and you can add on fender washers or nuts for your weights, and you can move them along the threaded rod to adjust the balance that way. This is the camera plate I came up with. You don't have to worry about this top portion here. I just made this so that it would fit on to my monopod base plate on the camera, and it just fits in there. But you can just screw directly up from the center into your camera if you need to. But what this allows you to do, I got these slots in here, and you can put a bolt up through these slots, tighten it down, and that allows you movement both directions. And that helps tremendously in balancing this thing. As for the handle, you just bore out a little place for the head of the bolt to go down into. This is a 5/16 inch bolt, and it goes down like that, and it's got to be down below the surface so the base plate can slide back and forth. Take a lock washer and a bolt, tighten that on your gimbal. That's how it's going to screw onto that bolt. 5/16 inch bolt fits this axle that I got off of Amazon perfectly. It's not made to screw on that bolt, but there's little plastic ridges on the inside of the female part of these axles, and you can screw them on that metal bolt, and it makes indentions in that plastic, and it fits perfectly. The bottom part of this handle is made out of CPVC. Make sure it's CPVC because it fits these skateboard bearings that I also got off of Amazon. It comes in a pack of 8. But these skateboard bearings also fit onto a 5/16 inch bolt. There's a little play there, but it fits pretty good. So put that on the bolt. Get yourself a lock washer and a nut, tighten it down, and the bearing should spin freely. Then stick this bolt into the CPVC coupling. It goes in like that, and the bearing will stop where the coupling thing is on the inside, and then you stick the CPVC pipe, cement it in, hold it in tight for 15-30 seconds while the cement sets, and then this handle spins freely, and then screw the other part of your axis onto that bolt that's sticking up out of there. So as far as balancing this thing, it will depend on what type of camera you have on top, how heavy it is, to what size threaded rod you need. I actually started out with 3/4 inch threaded rod. This is just 1 foot long threaded rod I found at Home Depot. But the 3/4 inch was too heavy on the bottom. So I dropped it down. This is a 5/8 inch threaded rod, and you can adjust the weights along the length of it. To put this thing together, you don't have to use a little fancy joint that I've got right here. My initial prototype worked just fine. I just butted them together with glue and a couple of nails. Make sure your nails are going this way because the force of gravity is going this way. You don't want to nail it this way where it's on top like this and you shoot it down and the force of gravity is also pulling it down. You want it like this, shoot your nails in that way or hammer them in that way, and that'll be a lot stronger for you. Okay, so let's take a look at balancing this thing. Have your camera mounted to your base plate here, and we're going to screw it on. Okay, so to mount the base plate to the top of my rig here, I use these little T-knobs that I got off of Amazon. 1/4 inch, they work with a 1/4 inch bolt. So the bolt goes up through here and the T-knob just tightens it down. So how to work these T-knobs here, I just have to apply a little pressure underneath with my finger, screw them down, and there you go. This is my first attempt. I just have put this on, no balancing yet. Let's see what it does. So as you can see, it kind of leans forward and to the right a little bit. So that tells me I have to scoot the camera back and to the left. So I'll loosen my knobs here. I'll scoot it back to the left. Still leaning to the right a little bit. So it's really just trial and error to see which way it leans. Getting the correct weight on the bottom is also trial and error. I'll show you just a minute what it looks like when you have too much weight down there. And that's getting better. It's leaning down forward a little bit. So I'll just scoot the camera back. But left and right looks pretty good. Okay, so I've got it balanced. The hardest part is starting off. How do you know how much weight needs to be on the bottom? And that's just trial and error, really. I first started out with a 3/4 inch bolt on the bottom. That was too much weight. So I dropped it down to a 5/8 inch bolt. And if you add too much weight, let me show you what happens when you add too much weight. Okay, so I added a bunch of fender washers down here. And this is giving you an idea of what it looks like when it's too heavy on the bottom. You move it from side to side, and you notice you have this rocking motion. Boating action. That lets you know that it's too heavy on the bottom. You lighten it up and you get less and less of the boating action. You lighten it up too much and the camera wants to flip on you. And so that's kind of how you know where your balance is. It only takes the most minuscule of adjustments either way to get it balanced. And just to give you an idea, I flip my screen out here. I have a flip screen on my camera. And when I flip that out, that's enough weight to make it tilt that way.